Miss Jane was not having it, okay? She was very upset. She said, I'm not staying. I feel fine. Nothing's wrong with me. She felt like something was wrong with our machines. So Miss Jane decided to leave AMA, which is against medical advice. So as a nurse, you have to explain to the patient, the risks and benefits if they leave against the doctor's advice. So I explained that to Miss Jane and told her she could have the possibility, she could die because her blood pressure was dangerously high. So she left, very upset, very irritated. A couple hours later, maybe 3 hours later, Miss Jane comes back through the ER because she had a stroke.
Take action now. Today's the best start. Listen to your body, listen to your heart. Yeah. Shake your mind, body and soul together for the tools and information that helps you grow. Take action now. Today's the best start.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to be here with me today. My name is Tiffany, and I am a nurse, and I work at Stanford. I also care very deeply about our church family. So today, I want to talk with you about something that affects many of us, often without us even knowing it, and that's high blood pressure. This isn't meant to scare anyone. It's meant to inform, empower, and encourage us to take care of the bodies that God has entrusted to us. I have been a nurse for a total of 17 years. I worked my way up. I was a CNA. I was an LVN for 8 years, and I've been an RN for 10 years, so total of 18 years. I decided to become a nurse because at first I wanted to become a doctor. I was dead set. I was on the pre-med program and everything. But then I got pregnant at 18, had my daughter at 19, and I knew I still wanted to help people, but I needed a fast track way to be a healthcare provider. So I decided to go into nursing. And honestly, I'm so glad I chose nursing over being a doctor. Being a nurse, you get to really connect with the families, you get to connect with the patients, you get to understand why they do the things they do. And the best part of being a nurse to me is education, because when you teach somebody something and then that little light goes off and they get it and everything clicks and then they can teach it back to you, like that's the best feeling in the world. So that's the reason I became a nurse, and I absolutely love it. I cannot see myself doing anything else. I probably will be working until I'm 90. I'll be that nurse in the hospital, maybe in a wheelchair, rolling around, still trying to teach people about their health. But if you don't love nursing, then don't do it. Like, you have to love what you do. So that's one of the reasons I became a nurse, and I absolutely love it. Okay. So I'm the type of nurse, if something happens to my patients, even if they go to ICU, if they go to a different unit, I'm that nurse. I am going to always go check on my patients and see how they're doing. I'm also the nurse on my unit that gets a lot of comfort care and hospice patients. So there's one family, I am still friends with them to this day. I went out to dinner with them last week. I cared for their father during his last few weeks. They were all nurses, so we just got along and understood each other pretty well. I made sure, one of his last wishes was, he's like, Tiffany, all I want to do is I just want to go sit at the fountain with my wife. I'm going to cry. So it took a lot because he was very weak. He had so many things going and IV pumps, but I made it so that we went outside, and it was him, his wife, me, his 2 daughters, and his son, and we sat out at that fountain for a good 2 hours. I asked everyone to, watch my patients, like, let me just do this for him. And I mean, he was so happy. He was so grateful. Like, he was just the happiest person. And I was off for 3 days, and I was like, oh, please please let him be here when I come back. And he did. He waited till I came back, and he was like, I just wanted to tell you thank you one last time. And then he ended up passing away later that day. So it's just the little things that you can do for your patients that honestly mean a lot. And I don't know, I'm that nurse. I probably could end up something happening to my job, but I mean, I'm always gonna check on my patients, check on the families, and just make sure they're okay, because that's just what you do, you know, when you're a caring person. So what is high blood pressure? High blood pressure, also called hypertension, is when the force of blood pushing against the walls of our arteries is consistently too high. When your blood pressure is checked, you'll hear about two numbers. The top number, also called systolic pressure, is the pressure when your heart beats. The bottom number, also called diastolic pressure, is the pressure when your heart rests between beats. Over time, if that pressure stays too high, it can quietly cause damage inside the body, even if you feel completely fine. That's why high blood pressure is often called the silent condition or the silent killer. Why does high blood pressure matter? When blood pressure is not controlled, it can increase the risk of heart attacks, strokes, kidney disease, vision problems, and heart failure. Talking about high blood pressure is very important to me. I have had many patients who have had high blood pressure, they don't listen, and things can go south. So two stories stick out for me. One of them, we're gonna call her Jane. Sometimes I work in the emergency department. Jane came through the ED. We were in triage. I was checking her blood pressure, and Jane's blood pressure was in the 180s, 190s. So in healthcare, we call that a hypertensive crisis. So I'm texting everyone, texting the doctors, and they're like, okay, yes, we're gonna admit her just for a further workup. So I came and told Miss Jane, I said, hey, Miss Jane, you know, we're gonna admit you, we're gonna take you to the back, you know, just so we can further work you up to see why your blood pressure is so high. Miss Jane was not having it, okay? She was very upset. She said, I'm not staying, I feel fine, nothing's wrong with me. She felt like something was wrong with our machines. So Miss Jane decided to leave AMA, which is against medical advice. They are allowed to do that if they are alert and oriented, and they can make their own medical decisions. So as a nurse, you have to explain to the patient, you know, the risks and benefits if they leave against the doctor's advice. So I explained that to Miss Jane and told her she could have the possibility, you know, she could die because her blood pressure was dangerously high. So she left, very upset, very irritated. So I'm continuing on with my day. A couple hours later, maybe 3 hours later, Miss Jane comes back through the ER because she had a stroke because her blood pressure was so high. She had slurred speech. She had a droop on the left side of her face, and like the left side of her body became weak. So we had to call a stroke code. We had to give a special clot buster because she had a major stroke. And then she was transferred to ICU. Me being the nurse that I am, of course, I'm gonna go check on my patient. So I go see Miss Jane. She was doing okay in ICU. Like she came in enough time to where we were able to bust the clot. So she was gonna be okay. And then, let's see, when I was working on the floor, she had came back maybe like a month later, and she had thanked me so much, and she just really said, she said, I really wish I had listened to you. She said, you know, I've never really had a nurse that cared, and you know, she said, all this could have been avoided if I had just listened. Another story that I have is working on the floor. I was admitting a patient, we'll call him John. He was in his early 40s. His wife and 2 kids were there also. So, you know, I'm going through my little admission questionnaire, you know, what brought you in? How are you feeling? He said he just felt a little off. He couldn't really describe the feeling. It was just off. So he told me he had history of high blood pressure, coronary artery disease. His wife kind of chimed in and said he doesn't take his meds like he should. And he admitted to not seeing his primary care doctor for 4 to 5 years. Checked his blood pressure, because that's what we do when they're admitted. We check their vitals. His blood pressure was like 220s, 210s over 120. So I had to call a rapid response because that's just dangerously high again. And before everybody could even come down, John coded because he had a heart attack. My instinct as a nurse, get the wife, get the kids out of there. They do not need to see that. Anybody that has ever witnessed a code or CPR, it's very traumatizing. So I took the wife and the kids. We went to we have a little waiting area. I asked her, I said, I don't know your faith. I said, but we're gonna pray. I said, because John is gonna make it and he's gonna be okay. So we prayed. He ended up being intubated on life support and going to ICU. Next day I went and checked on him. He was doing okay. They had got his blood pressure down. He had to be on special medication that they can only do in the ICU. But they said that he was gonna be okay. He also came back maybe a month or 2 later with his wife and kids, and he said, thank you so much for not letting them see me like that. And he ultimately is now taking his medications as prescribed. He has a primary doctor he goes and sees regularly, and he even has like a little cuff at home so he can now check his blood pressure regularly. So high blood pressure matters to me because as a nurse, I've seen what can go wrong. Many people don't feel sick at all, but damage may still be happening. This is why knowing your numbers is so important. So who is at risk? High blood pressure can affect anyone, but common risk factors include your family history, stress, diets high in salt or processed foods, lack of physical activity, being overweight, diabetes, smoking, and getting older. Some of these things we cannot change, but many of them we can. And remember, this is not about blame or guilt. It's about awareness and care. Symptoms like, what should I look out for? Most people with high blood pressure have no symptoms at all. Some people may experience headaches, dizziness, blurred vision, or even chest discomfort. But I want you to remember, waiting for symptoms is not the way to protect your health. Regular blood pressure checks are key. So how can we prevent or control high blood pressure? The good news is there are many ways to manage blood pressure. Lifestyle changes can make a big difference. Eating more fruits and vegetables, cutting back on salt, drinking more water, limiting fried and processed foods, that's a hard one for me. Moving your body, even walking counts, like 5-10 minutes a day, that is enough. Getting enough sleep between 6 and 8 hours a night, and managing your stress. For some people, lifestyle changes are enough. For others, medication is necessary, and that's okay. Taking prescribed medication is not a failure. It's a tool to protect your health. Let's talk about faith, stress, and our health. Stress plays a major role in high blood pressure. But as people of faith, we know the power of prayer, rest, and community. The Bible reminds us of that in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit? Therefore, honor God with your bodies. Taking care of our health allows us to continue serving, loving, and showing up for others the way God calls us to. Prayer, worship, and leaning on one another can help reduce stress, which helps protect our hearts in more ways than one. What can you do starting today? Here are a few simple steps. Get your blood pressure checked regularly. Know your numbers and talk with your healthcare provider. Make small changes because they can truly add up. You don't have to do everything at once. Progress matters more than perfection. So I want to leave you with this. Caring for your health is not selfish, it's stewardship. It allows you to be present for your family, your church, and the life God has planned for you. I just want to thank everyone for your time today, and may we continue to walk in faith, wisdom, and good health all together.
Take action now. Today's the best start. Listen to your body, listen to your heart. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. Shake your mind, body, and soul together for the 80s. Tools and information that helps you grow. Take action now. Today's the best start.